This is the Swarm and Shoot football show with me, Manny Matsakis, as we kick off season 2. We've been fortunate because we've had a few good interviews. We bring Lynn Groll on here, and he's able to interview some of our players. And we've got a lot coming up in this upcoming season. And this Swarm and Shoot football show is brought to you by Big B Coffee, which I've got right here. And it's right across campus here on North Clinton Street. Get the finest coffee beverages in Defiance, as well as great pastries and breakfast sandwiches to start off your day. And for most of us, we also get a pick-me-up in the afternoon by heading across the street to see Sue and everybody over at Big B Coffee. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, BSN Sports. Rob Held, Jim Garris, and the crew over here, the sales team, are the professionals that you definitely need to get in touch with to get your gear. All the DC gear. If you're a high school program out there listening to this, get in touch with these guys and they will help you out. They do a fantastic job with high schools, colleges, businesses in the area. Can get whatever type of apparel they need customized just for their business. So I know Rob does a great job for us. Jim is our rep that I see virtually every week of the year, and it's outstanding customer service.
Welcome back to the Swarm and Shoot football show, joined again by Defiance College head coach Manny Matsakis. Coach, we're going to talk about what is next for the Defiance College Yellow Jackets. So take me through it. What is next? Because we're into May here, and you're only a few months from rolling again with another season.
It is, and I'll tell you, it's like a juggling act at this point. We've got a lot of things going on. I mean, one, we wrap up what we do, self-scouts, wrap up the season we just played, look at different areas. What is it we can improve? What do we need to go learn and improve upon? And I've got trips that, I just made a trip to another program and to go see what they're doing within different facets of their program so we can organize and improve. So on one end of it, it's you put that season away and do an after-action review, just like the military does. You go in, you look at it, and you say, all right, after each game, what is it we could have done better? And now what can we do between now and when training camp starts in August? So that's what's happening here. Now, I hit the road and do some recruiting, and I'll go see coaches, players, and so forth over the next 6 weeks. I'll be out and about. And then also during that time, then Emily Cotton, our football operations director, she's going to be working on team travel. We're also working on, I have a management system we put together. So it's basically looking at the whole program. It's about a 300 page, almost 300 page manual about how we want to run the program. So we go in, we throw stuff out, we insert new things, and we say, all right, this is who we are going in, taking the next step in the process as we get into the fall. So we're going to be working on that while all the other coaches are on the road and as well recruiting. And so we're going to head out and go recruit. We do have one interesting thing we're doing, and this may be another episode in and of itself later, is Ernest Wilson he has been asked to come coach for the next, he's actually doing it now in Indianapolis at one of the hubs for the spring football league. So he'll be coaching with Hal Mummy and the team there. And what they do is they've got, I think there's 4 teams in Indianapolis, 4 teams in Houston. It's on Fox or FS1 or something. So they're televised. So we're going
to see Ernie on TV, huh?
Yeah, you'll probably see him. He's actually going to be coaching the secondary. He's going to be working with Hal and those guys. But what's nice is where it helps us a ton is, other than the PR side of this deal, is it's great because he's in Indianapolis. Indiana is a recruiting hub, and the border of Ohio is right there. So they'll put him up. I forget what some downtown hotel in Indianapolis, Crown Plaza or whatever they call it. So he stays down there, pay for his meals, take care of his expenses, and he just coaches 3 hours a day, meetings and stuff. And then Hal made an agreement with me and said, look, he can go recruit the state of Indiana for you during this whole time. So we got a guy right in the middle of the state. We don't have to pay anything, and what a sweet deal for us. So Ernie will be there, and you'll probably see him on TV, but he's coaching, even though he's a great running backs coach, he's going to be coaching the secondary there. So that'll be fun to see.
You just can't stop that guy.
No, he's a ball coach, so that's what he's going to do. So we'll definitely get him on the podcast after his season's over, and just see what that's like, And I think it also gives us, as we have some of these young players, something to aspire to. We have these connections at that next level, that intermediate level, and then obviously, at those other levels in the Canadian League and in the National Football League. So it's like just having these connections is important to us in recruiting. And so he'll be there. The other thing we're doing is Coach Shank has created a system we're calling Posse Recruiting, okay? And it's actually an economical way to recruit. So we get the rental cars and we drive, and when we have these hubs, we have one in, it'll be him and two other position coaches. So Coach Boland, Coach Warehan would be in those areas, and they're going to go stay in Atlanta for a week, and we, instead of getting like 3 hotel rooms and everybody all over the place, we get one of those Airbnbs, and it literally cuts the price down in 2/3 because you're just getting like someone's house is sort of how it works. Yep. Right? And then you stay there all week. They go out with their cars, recruit, and then they come back and they meet at night. And then Coach Shank and I, we talk every day. We'll go through some things depending on where I'm at and follow up. So we've got, the base hubs right now are Atlanta, and then we've got Nashville, which we can hit pretty good, and then we can go over to Memphis as another hub. So those are like 3 solid weeks that we plan on being out there recruiting, and we take our top 300 prospects and we go see them in this market because we're on a lot of kids. And then Javon will go to Florida, where he's recruited some good play. Got Richard Pope, we got Nazavius Williams, we got a bunch of guys down there. So he's going to head down there for a week and recruit there, and then also he or somebody else will head to Dallas, where we've got a lot of players in the Metroplex down there we're on right now. Good thing my brother George is there, so we get a free place to stay. So it's like we look at everything and say, okay, what is the most bang we can do for our buck, and economize, but never really take a back seat to anybody else, so we can get out and recruit and all this stuff. Obviously to do it, you have to have approval from the cabinet. The college has to say okay, because it's not cheap to do. Right. Even though we'd probably cut this thing down in half by the way we're doing it, but that's awesome, because if we can get in the living rooms or at the high school, the weight rooms, and see things and talk to these players one-on-one, that is a huge impact on their decision-making process right now. And I think as we do this there, and then also, we plan on also being on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, that area, and because we have places to stay there for free also, so that's a pretty good deal. So we'll get there, recruit more kids from there, and we can get a really good recruiting class in to help fortify what is already a solid foundation to the program.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this yet. Coaching-wise, any turnover, there going to have to be any changes with GAs and those kinds of things, Coach?
Well, right now, only one, because he is just finishing his master's degree, and it's Tristan Yeomans. Yep. And, he was coaching the defensive line and helping and doing the special team, so we'll miss him dearly. I mean, he was a really fine asset for us, and, and just a good person. And I think with his plans are now, he's training to try to get his shot as a long snapper in the NFL, and there are some people because I think with the draft and their punter, getting, I don't know who ended up taking him on this deal, but a lot of people want to know who your best long snapper was, so he keeps saying it's Coach Yeomans. Yeah. So he's getting some opportunities. So that's one. And then the other thing he may be looking at, and I'm trying to help him with, is if he can get like a graduate assistant position at like a bigger college, a bigger like a Division I school or something like that. So we're going to see if we can help him, because as a GA, we've been fortunate. Our GAs have all moved on. They've gotten jobs. Every one of them has done something great. So that's awesome. So that position is going to have to be replaced, or we should be getting approval for that sometime here as this podcast is released. So we'll be looking for one more GA, and then everybody else at this point is here. So we're quick turnaround on the season, so we'll have everybody back and coaching for us, and I'll be doing some restructuring in the special teams area without Tristan here, and excited about that. Got to go put my special teams hat back on from the days in Lubbock and Kansas State. So, I think we can make some progress in that area because we have a good foundation from what we were left over.
Recruiting wise, do you have a number that you guys need to kind of bring in? I know you have a lot of returnees it's a little different this season.
Yeah.
Do you have is there a number that you're kind of trying to bring in again this season?
Well, it's more like you can't get enough linemen. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, and they're the hardest guys to get to recruit. So I think for us, it's like, we want guys initially. It's not as much numbers, even though we do have numbers. The school says, hey, we need so many in. But that's oftentimes when I talk to Coach Woodley, our athletic director, he's very geared up on, what is your roster size, not always what you're bringing in. So when we retain as many guys as we've been retaining, then that number will shift according to that. We do want to do some renovations in the locker room and the stadium and so forth, so we can handle the kind of squad, because we want to be able to play 3 to 4 JV games. So that's what's critical. We realize that the development process of some of these players through JV games is very important for our future success. So that's why we want to bring in guys that maybe they're not quite there ready to play yet, but with a few games they could be ready by the second half of the season. So that's why we're going to bring those numbers in. And I think after the linemen, I think what we want to do is bring guys that can make a key impact in the kicking game, special teams, guys that can cover kicks, guys that are going to make tackles, guys that can protect on the punt team. All that stuff is vital, because I think that's the next area where we need to make massive improvement. And usually you're doing that with, the next level guy. So that will help us out come the fall.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because a lot of people ask me out in public, you have a roster of kids from all over the nation. How do you find these kids is a question that I get asked a lot. Florida, Texas, East Coast, Tennessee, you're kind of everywhere. Take me through that a little bit and how you find these kids, Coach.
Well, one thing to realize is, and this is not, I don't like to say this isn't about me or our staff, but it really is about our staff. One, they're great recruiters. Chris Shank is the finest recruiter I have ever seen, and I've been with some really good ones. So he's our recruiting coordinator. He does a great job putting things together, and the work that he puts in is so diligent. It's year round. I don't know if the guy ever takes a day off. I have to force him to take days off. So that gives you an idea of how we're finding some of these guys. The other thing is there are people other than myself that have name recognition in different regions of the country. Javon has a certain name. Ernie has certain name recognition. We've got guys that were tied to a lot of these players. Having coached in Texas, having coached on the East Coast, and you start looking at that where we know a lot of people. So knowing people is important, and what happens is it starts to perpetuate itself. At first people thought, I remember after that first year, right when I got Coach Shank here, I think in December after my first fall. And, we signed all these players, and everybody's like, why are you getting all these kids from Texas? Well, because they know us. Believe it or not, they don't know Defiance College, but
Yeah.
they know us. So, that my time being down there helped. So we're able to get these guys. And believe it or not, even when I was at Emporia State, I've got a bunch of guys that are head high school coaches in Texas now, and so we get referrals and those types of things. So I think they know us, and then once we got those guys, and then the next wave starts to come in and say, oh, you're from where? Oh, shoot, I'm from Fort Worth. Oh, I'm from Dallas. And then that kid wants to come here because he's got a connection. So it's like the culture starts to perpetuate itself because we are that way. We're big in Georgia. We're really big in Georgia. And that's an area that I think, we go find kids in Georgia that not everybody knows about.
Right. And most people don't realize in the South there are not many D3 schools.
No, there aren't.
Once you
very
get
many.
past Georgia, there's a few in Georgia.
Not very many, yeah.
Texas, there's a couple, but not many. So these kids don't have an opportunity to play in those regions of the U.S.
No, and I think and that's been a key for us because as great as Ohio high school football is, and it's fantastic. If you say Texas, okay, it's right there. No matter what you say, it's just as it's a bigger. It's like 6 Ohios. It's so huge. You say Georgia, Ohio, they're both really good. So so what happens is up here we're fortunate to get a guy like Isaiah Robinson from Maumee was a good fit for us. We get these guys here. The best we can get here locally, but when we go away, we're getting the kind of guys that we may not be able to get in Ohio yet. And I think as the program, we start to be a destination for a lot of these Ohio players, we're going to get better Ohio players because you're winning, you're doing the things that it takes to get them.
Yeah, and a lot of those kids are probably some are D2, maybe even low D1 kids, but they just don't get the look because there's so many D1 kids and D2 kids down there that they...
Yeah, and the D3 is the best in the country. So, you start looking at the OAC and all that. It's like that's where they're, that's who you got to beat to get those guys. So that's why I schedule Capital to open up the season because we want to play an OAC team, and that's why we schedule Mount Union. That's why we're doing that stuff because we want to be, oh, you guys played those guys. Oh, you were in Columbus and you played that game and then you're in Alliance. And it's like, fine. I would prefer to play them as non-conference teams because win or lose, the non-conference isn't what gets you what you want, a conference title. So that is the ultimate goal here is to win a conference title. And then, from there you get the playoffs and you see what you can do. So it's, to me, non-conference, we'll play them.
Yeah, you have the best of D3 right in your backyard here.
Yeah.
The OAC is known as the football powerhouse in Division III, and it's and you have the chance to compete with those guys and play them. And
so we're going to do that, and I always love that opportunity. So we're scheduling those guys down the road, and I think when you have that, and you start to get players in our own state that maybe we weren't able to get the first couple of years we've been here, because you got a guy like, all these guys. I mean, Moultrie, Freeman. Williams. I mean, these guys they're from far away, I mean, we got Pope from Florida. I mean, all these guys, it's like, but there's such a family culture here because all they know is each other and they know it's a great location. And I can't tell you that. The community is so easy to recruit to. So once we get them here, it's great. I mean, we've got way nicer things than most places do, but they don't know it till they get here. So once they get here, say, "Oh wow, yeah, it's more than just we got all the stuff that these 18 to 22-year-old young men want to see. It's not such a small place that it's so removed from everything. There's something to sell here, and the college has been very helpful to us in getting this done. Really." Yeah.
This is your first off season where you have an identity too.
Yeah.
But you know what you have on offense. You know what you're going to run. You know what you're going to run on defense.
Yeah.
But you haven't really had that an off season before. And that probably takes some time away to some other duties that you can focus on.
Yeah, without question. And I think that's exciting for us. And it's something like, if I wrote in an envelope, which I actually did when I my first year, and I've shared it with a couple, like how I foresee us looking, what the culture is going to look like. We're at like 70% of the way there. It's like I knew what I wanted to create with our coaching staff, and those different facets of it are starting to come to fruition, and that's what's exciting, because now we're selling on something that we are showing that we've done. We're in the process of this great turnaround here at Defiance College. So, and I think that's what sells itself in a lot of ways, because players want to be part. They want to play early, and they want to be part of something special. And, it's different than, just go to Mount Union, you're going to win the OAC, you're going to possibly win a national title. But you might not play special teams till you're a junior, and you may play as a senior. And too many freshmen or sophomores even playing there. They're playing their 10 JV games they schedule, So that's the difference. Here you're going to come learn, and you're going to be expected to play quickly and develop quickly. If you're not playing early, you're going to be playing the next year, because we're going to find ways to get you on the field.
Yeah. What's the rest of your summer kind of look like? You wrap up recruiting here probably pretty quickly for this upcoming class.
Yeah, we should wrap it up in mid-June, I would say, and then after that, I think I've got a week somewhere there. I'll take a little vacation, the time with the family, and then other than that, you just don't have. It's going to be here before I know it. So I'll maybe take a 3-day weekend here or there, but the rest of it is just planning, moving ahead, strategizing what training camp's going to look like, and get everything ready to go for the fall, because it'll be here before you know it.
When do you start strategizing game plans and those kinds of things? Take me through that a little bit from a coaching perspective.
Well, I start that in June. Yeah, first part of June, I get that going, and then I set all the things up, and then we have our first part of August when our coaches get back. Then that's when I say, this is how we're gonna take the next step in the program, and then we share it on each side of the ball, and and then go implement it in training camp. So that's in June is when that starts, but I can't do that until after I've taken the month of May and evaluated what we just did, and what I'm doing in May is actually what I normally would do in December and January, so that's the difference in it right now.
Last thing, what did the evaluation tell you about this past spring season?
Well, what it told me is the talent gap is closing with the middle of our conference. We need to become more disciplined, and because when I evaluate everything and we look at this, we do something called drive charts on each side of the ball, and how did a drive finish? Did it finish with a touchdown for the offense? Did it finish with a turnover by our defense? And then the key thing is why? What happened? And then you analyze every single drive of the season. And you start to see that when less errors are made, which is what started happening as the season goes along, and they became comfortable, we solidified some things, changed some things defensively and offensively, worked on some stuff, then I can say, all right, that's where we are. So we're a couple notches up from, where we were after 2019. But I think there's so much room for improvement right now that that's going to have to come from coaching. That's other than the recruiting side of this and fundraising and all the other stuff you do in our profession is, getting those best guys on the field as fast as you can. So I think that's where we're sitting right now. I mean, if I say, where do I want to be in 2022, when we go to Alliance to play that game, if that is, if that's a 10 where I foresee us to be at a 10 right now, we're probably sitting at about a 4 right now. So that's how much improvement we have to make next fall and that off season to be able to go there. Because I always sort of gear things up 2 years in advance. So I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and the tunnel is right now fall 2021.
Yeah. Thanks for the insight, Coach. Appreciate it.
Great. I want to thank you for joining us on the Swarm and Shoot Football Show. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure to subscribe in iTunes. Give us a rating, comment on the show. If you'd like to get all kinds of updates, go to our website at swarmandshoot.com, where you will be up to date on all of our podcasts with audio and YouTube versions on there as well. All right. See feature articles on our current players and alumni, along with updates of what's going on in the program. Take a minute and subscribe with your email to receive these regular alerts every time we update the website.